Discovering Greek gods in sayings. Our popular expressions have been influenced by Greek mythology. For example, you may have heard of the expression, "He has the weight of the world on his shoulders." This comes from the story of Atlas in Greek mythology. Before the Greek gods, 7 giant titans ruled the world, and the titans were the son of the Greek god Zeus. Cronus was told by a prophet that his son Zeus would be more powerful than his father, and so Cronus tried to devour Zeus. Zeus escaped to Mount Olympus in Greece and lived with the Olympian gods, plotting his revenge. And when he grew up, Zeus challenged Cronus and the other titans to a war to see who should rule the world. Atlas, the son of the titan Amedea, agreed to the challenge. He disliked Zeus and was eager for war. Zeus and the Olympian gods prepared themselves for a long and bloody battle, and after fighting for 12 straight months, they defeated all of the titans. Zeus declared himself king of the Olympian gods. He reorganized the world with the heavens above and the earth and oceans and mountains below. In order to punish Atlas for fighting against him, Zeus made Atlas stand with 1 foot in the ocean and 1 foot in the mountains and hold the world on his shoulders forever. So here is the statue. What do you think the saying might be? He carries the weight of the world on his shoulders. Next one, you see a woman, maybe a man, standing, I think it's really a woman, standing, dipping a baby in a water. Woman here with a torch. What do you think the saying might be? Saying is Achilles' heel. Achilles was the son of King Peleus of Thessaly and Thetis, a sea goddess. Zeus, the king of the gods, was his grandfather. When Achilles was a baby, Thetis heard a prophet predict that Achilles would die in battle when he grew up. Thetis was afraid and wanted to prevent this, so she took Achilles to the river Styx, which had magical powers that would protect him from pain and death. Holding Achilles by the foot, Thetis dipped him in the river. His body was almost entirely covered by the magical water except for his heel, which did not get wet. Many years later, Achilles became a soldier and went to fight in the Trojan War. He survived many battles until the day he was shot in the heel with an arrow and died from the wound. Okay, next one. A really big horse. Beware of Greeks bearing gifts. The Trojan War began when Helen, the queen of Sparta, was kidnapped by Paris, the prince of Troy. The entire Greek army sailed to Troy to get Helen back, but the Trojans blocked the gates to their city and refused to let her go. After a long and bloody battle lasting 10 years, the Greeks were still unable to get through the gates of Troy. Then the Greek hero Odysseus came up with a plan to trick the Trojans. He had the Greek army build a hollow wooden horse with rooms inside for dozens of Greek soldiers. They left the horse and the Greek soldiers within it outside the gates of Troy. The rest of the Greek army pretended to sail away, and all of the Trojan soldiers thought that the Greek army had given up and that they had left the large wooden horse as a gift to honor the power of Troy. The Trojan soldiers opened the gates of their city and took the horse inside. That night, while the Trojan army slept, the Greek soldiers charged out of a trap door in the horse's side, ready for battle. The Greeks destroyed the Trojan soldiers and won the war. So here you see a woman being carried on to a ship. You might be able to activate your prior knowledge and come up with the answer on this one. The face that launched 1,000 ships. Helen was the wife of King Menelaus of Sparta in Greece and was considered the most beautiful woman in the world. One evening, Helen and Menelaus hosted a dinner party in honor of Paris, the visiting prince of Troy. Troy was a powerful city in Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey. Paris was so awestruck by Helen's beauty that he kidnapped her and took her to Troy, hoping they would be married there. And when Menelaus discovered that Helen was missing, he was furious. He quickly organized the entire Greek army to sail to Troy to get Helen back. But when the Greek army arrived, the Trojan soldiers banded together and refused to let Helen return to Sparta. The conflict erupted into the Trojan War, which lasted 10 years. During the war, the entire city of Troy was destroyed, and many of the soldiers on both sides died, including the Greek hero Achilles. At last, the Greeks defeated the Trojans, and the war ended. Helen returned safely to Menelaus in Sparta. So you see a man here and a really huge bull, an angel right here. Of course, there had to be an angel, right? All right. It's a Herculean effort. Hercules was the son of the god Zeus and Alcmena, a woman from Thebes. When Hercules was a baby, 2 poisonous snakes found their way into his crib, and he strangled them with his bare hands. As he grew up, Hercules' extraordinary strength increased. When he reached adulthood, the gods decided to test Hercules. They challenged him to complete 12 dangerous tasks, known as the 12 labors. In each of these tasks, Hercules had to risk his own life to save the lives of others. One labor involved capturing an enormous snow-white bull with the strength of 12 bulls. This bull had run wild over the Greek island of Crete, crushing the homes of villagers, trampling their crops, and it also struck fruit trees with its sharp horns and knocked them to the ground. The people of Crete despaired over the damage to their island and prayed that someone would be able to help them. Hercules arrived on Crete and spotted the bull thundering across the meadow. He ran after it, captured the powerful bull with his bare hands, and wrestled it to the ground. The people of Crete cheered Hercules, then hoisted the bull over his shoulder, and he carried it to the gods, who praised him for his great strength. A weird guy looking at his picture. What do you think that might be? He is so full of himself. Narcissus was a beautiful young man who refused to love anyone. Despite this, he was deeply loved by the woodland fairy or nymph Echo. Echo followed Narcissus through the forest, watching over him tenderly. One day, Narcissus sent her away angrily, telling her he would never love her. Echo was so hurt by his rejection that she shut herself up in a cave to cry. She never came out again and wasted away there, leaving only the echo of her voice. Artemis, the goddess of the forest, was furious with Narcissus for mistreating her favorite nymph. Artemis placed a curse on Narcissus. Since he refused to love others, he would be overwhelmed with the love for himself. And the next day, Narcissus saw his reflection in a forest pond and fell in love with himself. He sat on the banks of the pond for many years, gazing at his reflection in the water with hopeless desire as he slowly wasted away. Finally, Artemis took pity on him and changed him into a beautiful flower that still bears his name today. Okay, so we have a box, and we have somebody sitting on a box, and lots of things coming out of the box. What do you think it is? Opened up a Pandora's box. Pandora was a lovely young woman who was blessed by the gods with intelligence, curiosity, and beauty. She was married to Epimetheus, whose name means afterthought. At their wedding, the god Zeus gave them a beautifully carved box filled with all of the ingredients of the world. Zeus told them to keep the box in a safe place and never open it. Many months later, Pandora asked Epimetheus if she should open the box just to see what was inside, then quickly close it again. Epimetheus, who never thought about something until after it was accomplished, said that was a good idea. So Pandora lifted the lid, and suddenly all of the world's troubles, vices, evils, and disease flew out and spread themselves among humans. Alarmed, Pandora quickly closed the lid, preventing the one last thing in the box from escaping. This last ingredient was hope, the cure for all the other things that had been in the box. And from that day forward, Pandora and Epimetheus safeguarded the world. All right, here you see like a dog overlooking maybe a river, or maybe it's a man's face, I'm not sure, and just holding him there. Caught between a rock and a hard place is the saying here. Odysseus was the brave king of the Greek island Ithaca who fought in the Trojan War, and on his way home from the battle, his ship sailed through a narrow sea channel or strait near Italy. Odysseus had to steer carefully between the shores of the strait to avoid getting stranded on the rocks. On one side of the strait lived the monster Scylla. She had 6 snarling dogs' heads and 12 human legs, and she devoured any sailor who passed by. On the other side of the strait lives Charybdis, a monster shaped like a large rock who created a dangerous whirlpool by constantly swallowing and spitting out the sea. Odysseus decided to steer closer to Scylla to avoid smashing his ship to pieces in the churning currents. Charybdis's whirlpool. Unfortunately, Scylla captured and ate 6 of Odysseus's shipmates, but Odysseus managed to escape with the rest of his crew and ship intact. This one is a painting of Perseus holding Medusa's head in his left hand, and I'm going to leave this one to you to figure out.